Okay, good morning, grade 12. We are going to do this activity here in your textbook on page 85. And this is electronic textbook right here. What we're going to do is exactly create this whole string array and display the total and the average for 5 games for 4 different hockey teams. Right, so they say we must enter the scores for 5 matches for 4 teams into a 2-dimensional array and then display the total and average for each team. So I'm going to show you how we do that. First of all, we're going to use a random number from 0 to 12 and we're going to populate the array. This is what the array is going to look like, possibly. Those are the random numbers. Just made those up. It might not look exactly like that, obviously, because it'll be random numbers we'll put in. Then we're going to display that array on to the string grid. But then for the string grid, we're going to have these extra columns here to put in our totals and our averages. Okay, so that will be the total and that will be the average. So as you can see, the string grid does not look quite the same as the array. The array is going to have only 5 columns and 4 rows. That's for the teams and that is for the different matches. And the string grid is going to have 8 columns and 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they are numbered from 0 to 7 and 0 to 4 for the rows. Columns will be 0 to 7 and the rows will be numbered 0 to 4. Why? Because we have a fixed row and a fixed column on our string grid, and that's going to hold our headings as per this diagram over here, because this is the display. See, first thing we're going to do before we put in any data, we'll go and put in our headings in our string grid. The data is going to go into the array and then go and get displayed on the string grid. So let's first put our headings into our string grid. Let's go and check at our string grid. There it is. It's got col count and row count of 5 and col count of 8. Just like I said, the fixed rows and the fixed columns are going to be the headings. So let's go do that. We'll do it in the display button. Well, I don't know. Let's go and do, we'll do it in display button. Let's go and read in the array first. Okay, I said we were going to display. Nah, we'll do the read into the array first. So in other words, we're going to go and create this structure here, the array of scores. 5 columns, 4 rows. So we have to declare an array. So let's do that. And we'll make it a global array. Why? Because we're going to use this button to display the array. So it has to be global so we can access it anywhere. I'm going to go and put it in private here, just so you can get used to using this AR scores colon array. This is how we do it. Now the rows come first, 1.4, columns 1.5. So it's 4 teams with 5 matches, and each box will have an integer in it. So that matches our instruction. Okay, let's look at the instruction again. 4 hockey teams for 5 matches, and it's games. We call them games. Right, 5 columns and 4 rows. Now let's go and fill that array with some random integers from 0 to 12 in this read in data button. And to fill the array, we're going through every single box. So we say our col, our row, we use our for loop counters and our nested for loops. Doesn't matter if you start with our row first or our col first, it doesn't matter. Our row equals 1 to 4, remember it's 4 rows, and then for our col equals 1 to 5, 2. And then we'll say ARR scores, square brackets, our row, comma, our col equals random range, open brackets, 0, and this was 0 to 12, so 0, comma 13 will give our numbers from 0 to 12. So random range, we just need to put a math up there. Right, done. Now the next thing to do is display that array into our string grid. Not so. That array has now been filled with random numbers from 0 to 12, including 12. Now we're going to go in our display button, and I'm going to display that array, and I'm going to use the same variables here, so might as well just copy and paste our row, our col, and I'm going to now say stg. What is the name of our string grid? Let's go and check that out. stg results. Okay, stg results dot cells square brackets r col comma r row equals arr scores r row comma r col. Now this is where you must see the difference, and I remember I told you that the string grid is numbered with the column first in the index, and then the row, and the array is numbered with the row first in the index, so it's the opposite. So that's the other thing that you have to remember. Very important to remember. See, string grid dot cells r col and then r row, and ar scores is r row comma r col. Now, problem is the string grid can only have strings on it. So an array scores is an array of integers. So we have to convert each item into string. We have to convert it into strings. Every single box of that array. They're all integers. We convert them to strings. Now let's go and see if this works. Click the reading data first, and then we click display, and there you have it. Numbers from 0 to 12 have been added to the array and displayed. Now let's go and put in our headings. For starters, we need the string grid needs to have a total there and an average word there. So let's go and do that. We can go and put those headings in the string grid. stg results dot cells. It's column number, not column number 7, or not column number 5, or not column number 6. Well, it is column number 6 there, because it starts at 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's column number 6, row 0, comma 0 equals. Let me type the word total, and then other one will be average. That's column 7, row 0, average. Okay. Nice to have a diagram that you can refer to. Makes your life a whole lot easier. Let's go and see if that is correct. Reading data display, there it is. That's column 6, 0, because it starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now let's do the rest of the columns, okay, and then the rows. Well, shall we do the columns first? Let's do, this is going to be game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the columns are going to go from 1 to 5. So I'm going to say for I col equals 1 to 5, do, then I'm going to say stg results dot cells equals, but we have to be careful here. We're going to have I col and 0, because it's row 0, isn't it? It is row 0. That's row 0 in the string grid, and this is column 0. Right, so we're going to say that is equal to game, and then we will join that to into string I col. So that's easy. Right, so that's the columns, and then we're going to do the rows, and we're going to say for our row equals, we know it's 1 to 4, and then for the rows, we're going to put in the team number. But yeah, column is naught and the row is our row. Team and interest string our row. Okay, so now we're going to run that. Reading data display, there it is, nice and neat. Now we know we have to go and fill that in. How are we going to do that? We're going to use the same concept that we did with this. We're going to basically, it's a little bit more complex, but if we understand what we're going to do, so let's go and understand what we're going to do here for the rest of this display. So we have to fill in the total and the average. Let's go over here to our nice little display. Now I'm going to work on the array and then display it in the string grid. Okay, so we pretend this is our array here. Let's pretend that's our array. And then we're going to display the array contents, the totals there. So we have to go from column 1 to 5 of the array. Okay, and each time for row 1. For row 1, we're going to go from 1 to 5. We start at row 1, and then we're going to have a totaling variable that's going to add up all the numbers from 1 to 5. So if we start at row 1, so we'll go for row 1, for our row equals 1, so our row is 1, and then we're going to go from 1 to 5. Okay, so let's go and put that in. For our row equals 1. Now, if you're going to use our row, we know we have to go from 1 to 4. Okay, now for each row I'm going to have a totaling variable, aren't I? That must be set to 0. So we have to have an integer called our total. We're going to set it to 0 for each row. I'll say our total equals 0. Right, let's go and declare that quickly so we don't have our red line. Then inside here we're going to go through each column and add up our total. So for our col equals 1 to 5, yeah, we must remember that the columns go to 5 and the rows go to 4. Right, so for our col equals 1 to 5, what are we going to do? We're adding up each contents of our array and adding it into our total. So our total equals our total plus the array contents. Arrow scores, square brackets, our row, remember, our col. So we have our running total. We finished that row's total, row 1. We've gone from, for rows 1, we went for column 1 to 4. We added all of these up, put in our total, and then what do we have to do? We have to display the total there. Not so. And we also have to calculate the average and display that. So before we go to the next row, we've got to finish what we're doing here. So I'm going to say, I'm going to display stg results dot cells, square brackets, our col, comma, our row, remember column first, equals int to string. Oh no, it's not our col, our row, it's a specific column, isn't it? It's column number 6, but it's for row, oops, sorry, there we go. So it's column number 6, not just our col 1, no. It's explicitly column number 6 that we're now going to put in row 1's total, and our row is going to change. I'll just use our row there. Our total is going to be displayed there, and then we have to go and put in row 7. In row 7 we have to put in the average. So what we're going to do is into string, and then I'm going to round, because I actually do want to have it round. Let me just put this on a new line so you can see. Round our total divided by, how many games are there? 5. There's 5 games. Divided by 5. So I'm rounding Round will return integer. I take my total divided by 5 into string. That's what I'm going to put in column number 7. Now, I figured that out. It works for the first row, so it should work for all the other rows. So let's go and see. Can you see this is happening before the end of our outer for loop, before we go to the next row? So for each row, we're going to get a total and total all the columns for that row. And then after we've totaled all the columns, then we'll display the total and the average there in those two string grid cells there for column 6 and column 7. And then we'll go to the next row and so on. Now let's run it and see. Reading data, display, there you have it. So there you see the averages, so 10, 2, 1 based on numbers. Right, so that's it. Go and try this by yourself without looking.